Mike. What do you got new?
Well, the biggest new release this year at SHOT Show 2023 is our Parabellum 2.0 shoulder holster. So, Paul, as you know, Galco has been doing horizontal type shoulder holsters since the very beginning of Galco's history, back when it was the famous Jackass Leather Company. And what we've done here is sort of modernize that design by using a Kydex holster pocket mated to a comfortable leather backing plate. This one is cut for red dot optics, which, as I'm sure you're aware, carry optics are a big thing now. So the Parabellum 2.0 does accommodate that. On the other side, we've got two horizontal magazine carriers.
And they have a little tilt so they won't fall out.
Not just so they won't fall out, but it also makes it a little faster to draw that magazine for a quick reload as well. So it's both. We've got the wide harness. It's 2.5 inches at the shoulder. So this is very, very comfortable. And it distributes the weight, especially if you've got a heavy gun. For example, this one's made for a 1911, which is, can be a pretty heavy gun in its steel frame variants. So it distributes the weight really well, so it makes for a very, very comfortable everyday carry.
And this is nice and light too.
It is. The holster itself is very light because we use a Kydex hybrid construction. But of course, when you put a heavy 1911 or a fully loaded Glock or something like that in there, that's where those wide straps come into play in terms of comfort.
And then, of course, when it comes to the perspiration in hot weather, this is going to be a little more comfortable and not stain the leather.
Right. So what we have on the back side here is what we call premium center cut steer hide. So this is going to be very comfortable against your body. You can sort of think of it as a suede on steroids. Moving against your body, this is going to be very, very comfortable rather than having the hard plastic of the Kydex against your body. This softer leather is very, very comfortable. Whether that's hot weather or cool weather, this thing works great. As you know, Phoenix is out of Arizona, so everything that we make gets tested in that 115-degree climate.
Oh, it's always
and so we know how to make stuff for hot weather.
You used to use screws.
Correct. Yeah, for many, many years we used Chicago screws. But what we found is that these harness fasteners really are a better solution. It's a polymer that we use, and you simply just push it through the harness rather than having to screw it.
And it won't unscrew.
Exactly, right. So you don't lose the screws when they separate, whether under vibration or anything like that. So we really have found these harness fasteners to be a better solution than the Chicago screws that we used for decades.
Oh, what else you got that I should see?
Well, you should definitely see our big iron belt holster for large revolvers.
Show me that.
All right, let's talk about that. So, Paul, this one's a little bit different from what we just looked at, which is obviously a concealment type holster. This is more for outdoor carry. If you're hunting, if you're doing something like that, if you're hiking, maybe you're in bear country, something like that. But the Big Iron is a steer hide lined holster, fully lined, for large revolvers. Again, for protection in bear country or hunting or something like that.
You think if I'm in bear country, I should carry a gun?
I think you really should. And if you can't carry a 45-70 lever action, you should at least carry a 44 Magnum.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah, it really is. You don't want to get eaten by a bear.
No.
So with the Big Iron, it comes with two different belt attachments. This one is the belt drop, so it drops it lower down on your hip, but it also comes packaged with a belt slot that will put it up as more of a high ride type holster. So you do get options. The belt loop, the belt drop, I should say, is an extra $89. Yeah, and then if you want to go cowboy style, you can always tie it to your leg like Clint Eastwood. So that's new this year as well, the Big Iron.
One of the holsters that I really like that's so versatile are your outside, what do they call that, with the flap, the slide that goes over your belt.
Like the Yaki slide?
Yeah, show me that.
Sure. that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
the one.
yeah. So the Yaki slide is a design that's been around for
Forever.
many decades, right? Originally popularized by Colonel Jeff Cooper at the famous Gunsight Academy, and Galco modified that older design by using tension units, which helps the holster with in terms of retention and being able to customize your draw feel and your draw speed. But a very versatile holster. One of the cool things about the Yaki slide is that if you're going into a place where you can't carry a gun, you can just take this out and it doesn't look like a holster.
No.
You know, you secure your pistol and this doesn't look like a holster. Also very versatile. We make it in 3 sizes for autos and 1 size for revolvers. But you know, the same Yaki slide that works with, say, a Beretta 92 will also accommodate a Glock 17 and a SIG 226. And the one that works with the 1911 works with a Browning high power, all the way up to the full frame Glocks.
As long as they're similar.
Right, basically similar sizes. So a Glock 21 would also work with a Smith M&P 45, for example.
I've got Yaki slide I've been using with the 1911 occasionally, but I've got such good friends in the holster industry. They really kind of.
Who are they called, Paul? Because
I think it's Galco or something. Actually, you know, you mentioned the name Jackass. And
going way back.
When I was a young Chicago policeman a long time ago, I met this fellow by the name of Rick Gallagher, and he had this company. It was actually first came GAME, then it became Jackass.
The famous Jackass Leather Company.
And of course, this was in Chicago.
Yep.
And then I moved from Chicago to Phoenix. And guess who comes right behind me?
And that was a great move for Mr. Gallagher. You know, not just from for the political climate, but the actual physical climate in Phoenix is better for making holsters, because when we put an oil finish on a holster, the dry climate, the oil dries faster, which allows us to move our production along a little bit better.
I remember that Mr. Gallagher was really enthralled with Arizona. He loved it until he had a rattlesnake come into his kitchen.
Yes. Well, that will frighten anybody, I think. Yeah. But doesn't really happen in Chicago, I don't think.
No, I never saw it. I saw one at the zoo.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're just out in the wild and running around all over the place in Arizona.
I've watched this company grow, and it's amazing. And the products keep getting engineered better, and they're safer. They're keeping people who are lawfully carrying guns absolutely safe. They've protected a lot of cops, including me.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're very proud of that.
And let's see, you got anything else?
That's pretty much, you know,
let's go look at ladies' purses.
Okay, right over here. So we've got a pretty wide selection here, and what the ladies' purses have in common is that they all have this side entry holster compartment. Right. Okay, so there's an elasticized gun pocket in there with an optional retention strap. It's sort of a one size fits most. Now you're not going to put a Desert Eagle in here, and if you put a Ruger LCP in there, it's probably going to fall out of the holster pocket. But for a normal size gun, you know, a Glock, a 1911, anything like that, these will work great.
Now, particularly these 2 top ones.
Yes.
The thing that I worry about with a woman with a gun in her purse is that a lot of criminals go for the purse. And here you've got this absolutely sturdy strap.
Yep.
And the lady would have the strap under her arm, the bag under her arm, and it would be pretty tough to take it away from her.
It would be, and you know, a lot of women like to carry crossbody for that reason. Yeah. They'll put the strap across the body, and most of the handbags
are
long enough, and they have some adjustment. Now, there are some for women who prefer to carry in a different fashion with the shorter straps, but yeah, a lot of women will go across the body for that, and
now,
you know.
So what is this one? Give me some MSRPs on these.
Oh, sure. So the MSRPs on these are going to be in the middle 300s, and you can, on the more entry-level bags, you're going to be right around 200. So between $200 and $400 for one of the handbags.
So we're going to keep our ladies well protected.
We want to, absolutely.
That's what we're praying for.
That it is. So we would love to see every woman in this country well armed and well trained. And if a Galco handbag helps keep them armed all the time, even better.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, I thank you for this.
Sure, my pleasure, Paul. Always.
You always show me some of the greatest things in the products, and
You're very kind.
You also do more. You make beautiful belts. I want to look
Oh,
at these
sure,
belts.
absolutely.
These belts are absolutely top grain, heavy
Yeah,
leather.
we do a combination. I mean, we have some that are really just, these are pants belts, you know, and everybody needs to hold up their pants, right? But we have a great selection of holster belts in both leather and in nylon. And when you're carrying a gun, as you're very well aware, Paul, if you're carrying at the waist, you know, a good holster belt is really the foundation of your carry system.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to hold everything in place, and not just your pants. It needs to hold your gun, your spare ammo. If you're a police officer, maybe it's going to hold your badge, it's going to hold your cuffs, all that. And you're putting a lot of weight on that belt. So what we do is 2 pieces of leather stitched together.
Yeah.
So you've essentially got 2 belts stitched together, and it is extremely sturdy and comfortable.
And lasts a long time.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because I talked to one guy on the first day of the show who's had his for 15 years,
Yeah.
and it's still in service. And then another guy who's had his for 20, and it's still in service.
I think mine is 20, if you can point at my belt. I've had this for 20. And of
Boy,
course,
you take good care of your stuff. Oh,
I sure
all right.
do.
And you obviously have excellent taste in leather gear.
I do. And the other thing is, you've got these are amazing. The new fanny pack.
Yeah, so
With the string that pops out.
yeah, so many years ago, back in the 90s and well into the 2000s, you know, fanny packs were a thing. And they kind of went away in terms of general carry, and they became conspicuous. And we don't want to be conspicuous, but if you walk around in a downtown area of any major city these days, these things are back.
Yeah, they're back.
And so what we wanted to do was make something that kind of blended in, you know, with very casual fashions and things like that.
You can put your cell phone in and your earphones through the...
You can if you want to do that, but the main feature here is the pivoting holster compartment. So you pull this activation cord, the holster pivots from being horizontal to vertical.
So it's right in your hand.
Exactly, and you can basically draw it like you're drawing from an appendix carry holster at that point. So this has done great for us. We brought this out 2 years ago, and we have sold boatloads of these things. I'm telling you, Paul, waist packs are back. They're back.
All right, well, I think I've seen everything that I should see for now. And of course, next time I see you guys, you'll have something new and wonderful.
I'm very sure that's true.
Thanks again, Mike.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.
All right, Aaron, what do you got to show me here?
Paul, thank you for coming over. It's CAA USA, and we've got some of our MCKs here to show you. As you guys we spoke with before, we've got a couple of generations, our Gen 1s, 2s, and 3s. Biggest differences you're going to find, our Gen 1s are not suppressor friendly. They have a polymer rail, and then we also have your secondary mag is going to have pressure clips on your Gen 1s. Our Gen 2s are going to be suppressor friendly. They're going to have aluminum rails, and then you're also going to have your secondary mag release button on our Gen 2s. What we have here is one of our hybrid models. It's going to be for our SIG P320. Yes, we have more models than just our Glocks. How you release it, very simply, open your gun door button, release up, gun is out, all right? Serrations on your charging handle are going to meet serrations on your pistol. Very simply, we're going to drop it in, push it forward, you hit positive contact, lock the back door, charge it up. This one's not going to charge, obviously, because it's a toy gun, and you're good to go. 3/4 inch Picatinny rail. You can put any red dots, iron sights, lights, so on and so forth when you want to do that. Also, on our stabilizing brace or stock, it is collapsible, so you have that ability to go to work with that. And like I stated before, secondary mag, so on and so forth when it comes to that. Our newest release here that we were speaking on before, a lot of our consumers and gun buyers out there have red dots on their pistol now. With our kits, you're not able to utilize the kit with the red dot. Our Gen 3, you have the capability to do so. Our Gen 3 is going to come with 2 rails here. If you want to use your red dot, unscrew, take the 2 rails off, insert your pistol, red dot is set, good to go. We have stock or stabilizer that you can raise up for line of sight, or you can lower in a scenario that you do have your red dot on, and then your line of sight, you're good to go when it comes to that. This is going to come with a larger suppressor diameter area here for your suppressors if you have threaded barrels. And then we also, in the interior, you won't be able to see it on this one, there's a brush system. So every time your gun cycles, and that slide cycles back, 2 brushes in here will be able to kind of dust away a little bit the carbon buildup that you have inside of this. This is going to be able to collapse on the right side for your righties, switch these pins out, collapse left side for your lefties also. Additional brush back here if you do want to do a little cleaning on the outside. Right there, and then that's it for our Gen.
Hold that stock for me one more time.
That's
now,
your button release.
I have to hold it in my hand.
There you go.
Oh, this is sweet.
It's sweet. It's light. It's easy.
You know what I'm imagining? I was a medical corpsman in the Army, and they issued me in 1911. Mm-hmm. Okay, today I would be getting the 320.
Correct.
And as a medical corpsman, I could have this little lightweight thing in my duffel bag for if I needed it, because I don't have a longer weapon. It would really be a benefit to the military guys.
Yes, very much
and
so.
And cops, of course.
Very much so. Very much so. So yeah, we do a lot of work in the law enforcement world, executive protection, and the civilian market. So, I mean, these are great for everybody out there. If you want something to assist you in reference to getting a further shot, more stability, this is what we have here, and it's out for everybody. All right? Paul, we appreciate you.
Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you very much,
Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed your SHOT Show.
Oh.
Hi, Austin. Could you tell us about what makes the LMT system so unique?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So, pretty straightforward process, and this is going to be really, really similar between both the 5.56 guns and the 308 guns. I mean, obviously the 5.56 upper receivers are a little bit smaller, and the giveaway is kind of the spacing between the 2 barrel screws. So pretty straightforward. So what we're going to do, this is our field torque wrench. So what we're going to do here, step in here and let you have a look, is we're going to take the very front screw, and we're going to run this screw all the way out. So this is actually going through the bottom of the barrel extension. Kind of cheated a little bit. This one's already loose.
All right.
Now the rear screw doesn't have to be all the way tight, or all the way out of the upper receiver. We can actually just loosen this, and that screw is actually already loose enough. So now we're going to go ahead and pull the barrel assembly out of the upper receiver. And it's quite as simple as that. So this upper receiver here is going to let me go back and forth, 10.5-inch barrels up to 16-inch barrels, 300 blackout, 5.56, 6.8 SPC. You can also change
different calibers.
Different calibers, absolutely.
Tell me the different calibers.
Yeah. So what I have here is a 16-inch 5.56 barrel, but we can also do 300 blackout and 6.8 SPC as well. What this lets us do on top of that is we can actually change operating systems. So we can go from a direct impingement setup over to a piston-driven setup as well. And it's really just as simple as taking your barrel assembly, and we're going to go ahead and drop that back in the upper receiver here. You kind of usually hear a snug click, and now you can see the barrel's all the way seated in here. We're going to take our front screw here, place that back through, and then from here on out, we're going to go through and go ahead and tighten everything. Now the torque spec on this is pretty important, so this is going to need to be torqued to 140 inch-pounds. So this is our slip style field wrench, but it's a little bit harder to do while holding it upright. But basically we're going to roll this thing over, alternating tightnesses of course, and this will roll over right at 140 inch-pounds. From there on out, you throw your bolt carrier group and charging handle back in the upper receiver, put it on your lower, and start shooting. It's as simple as that.
So I could turn this into a real short barrel device or a long barrel.
Absolutely. So you have a lot of modularity. So depending on what your, requirements are, different barrels. Like I said, as far as calibers as well. So if you're needing something from, like an entry type gun with a 10.5-inch or 11.5-inch 5.56 barrel, or if you're trying to, kind of increase your effective range, going up to a 16-inch barrel like that, or like I said,
that would be a good gun for you, Raj,
right,
because of the barrel lengths, not necessarily the caliber change.
Absolutely.
Now,
so
I think we're going to be very happy with the Bruin decision, and that your barrel lengths will be sewing every length that you can make.
Well, that's the one beauty of that system. Like I said, it's so easy to do. And like I said, you don't need to be an armor. You don't need to have a lot of tools. You don't even have to use this torque wrench if you don't want. It's a T30 head. So if you have an adjustable torque wrench, Big thing is, like
Does
I said,
the wrench come with it?
the wrench does not come with it. It is separate.
How much does it cost?
Retail's $99.
Ooh.
And that's a torque wrench.
It is.
Inside. Oh, that's great.
Cool thing is it folds up nicely. You can throw it in your range bag in case you are playing around with different barrel lengths or changing optics or changing calibers. So you got a lot of leeway with this system.
The whole rifle. What's a rifle run?
So an entire setup it kind of depends. It does cover a little bit of ground, but you're going to be looking anywhere from about $2,100 kind of on up from there, depending upon what features you're going to get. And we have our Defender line, which will have our standard A2 style lowers. Of course, we're really well known for our Mars ambi lowers as well.
The Mars rifle. Where's an example of that?
We can step back here to the A2 side.
Let's take a look at those.
We can show you this is actually the same upper receiver group, but you'll notice that this gun actually has a 12-inch piston barrel in it. So you can kind of see different coating on the bolt carrier. So that's kind of one way to know, well, we know we got a piston gun here. So but yeah, as far as the ambi lowers go, we've got a completely mirrored A2 style lower. So bolt catch and release. That's the big thing. Like I said, it's not just a bolt catch, it's also a release. Ambi selector on both sides. Of course, ambi mag catch as well. So if you're familiar with what an A2 feels like, everything is completely mirrored, so it's really, really easy to get used to. Even as a right-handed shooter myself, I find myself grabbing a standard lower these days. I immediately go and reach for the bolt catch here and realize, oh, it's not there on this. So that's one thing that, like I said, I would argue this is every bit as beneficial for a right-handed shooter as it is for a lefty.
And you got the necessary lady assist, the thumb piece.
It's on there.
And that's LMT.
That's how
There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.